Shabbat Shalom, everybody. This is Rabbi Stephen, Rab Shmuel, Rashbi, Rab Shmuel ben Yehoshua, here with you with this week's 10-minute Torah. So I would imagine that many of you, if not most of you, if not all of you, are familiar with Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee's fame came from his popularization of martial arts and by being kind of a voice for martial arts, for making it applicable, for putting it in movies. In fact, he devised the show Kung Fu, imagining that he would play the character himself. At the time, studio heads didn't think that somebody of Asian descent would draw a crowd, so it happened. Anyway, in Bruce Lee's book, The Tao of Jeet Kune Do, so Bruce Lee had studied Kung Fu and he felt that it was lacking in a lot of areas, and he devised his own system and called it Jeet Kune Do, which was Chinese, I guess, Mandarin for the way of the intercepting fist. So Bruce Lee, in his book, talks about how when he first got involved with martial arts, he thought a kick was just a kick. As he got more into it and started learning and developing his skills and his craft, he realized, or he said he realized that no, that's there are different types of kicks, different ways to do it, et cetera, et cetera. As he got, as he developed his level of expertise, he realized, a kick is just a kick. So why do I bring that up? Well, I've been doing these videos for about 7.5 years. And our good friend, may she rest in peace, Sherry Reeder, came to me as I was starting to become or think about becoming a rabbi and actually suggested that I do this, suggested that I do these videos. And, if you get on YouTube and if you can uncover, in the pile of my videos, some of the early ones, you'll see they're a little raw, a little, just kind of unorganized. But as I started reading the Torah more and more, and I read it every year. I've, in fact, lost track of how many times I've been through the Torah. I go through it every year. I've gone, when I first started doing this, I went through a couple of them each time, the Art Scroll and the Hertz. Then I added the Eitz Chaim. Now I do pretty much one a year. Um, Kind of alternate them. I use the Tikkun, that big green book. That's kind of a compendium of reading the Torah that has a different level of commentary about the layout of the Torah, certain words, certain cantillations. And at first I thought, okay, Torah's Torah. Then as I got into it, I started seeing a lot of the intricacies, some of the depths of the laws and what it's saying. As I've been doing this for 7.5 years, I realized Torah is just Torah. That's what it is. Yes, you have the Talmud, and if you read one page a day, front and back, and of course the trick is when you're reading those pages, you're reading the commentary, which can be a lot of. So it can take you, it could be 6, 7, 10, 12 pages of commentary for each page of actual Talmud. And you see the discussions that they have and how it's involved, how it applies, et cetera, et cetera. So this week's portion, Mishpatim, which are judgments, comes directly after Yitro, when we receive the Ten Commandments. Now we've got kind of an exposition. It expounds on different laws. So we have laws about how to treat slaves. Why slaves? Well, these are the people on the lowest socioeconomic rung of societal ladder. These are people that typically in most societies do not have any rights. They're slaves. They're owned. They're like cattle. They're like objects. We also have laws about damages. If somebody asks you to watch something, how responsible are you supposed to be? If it gets damaged or you lose it, what is the difference if somebody says, hey, do me a favor and look at this for a couple of days while I go out of town? Or they say, I'm going to pay you to be a custodian. Or somebody says, can I borrow it? How do you assess damages? So when you think about it, we've got a whole parsha. It can be involved. But when you think about it, how much of this actually just kind of makes sense on an intuitive level? there are societies where they're very much into their rungs of society. You got the rulers, you got people that are entitled to the better things that society has to offer, people that are not so entitled, foreigners, how do you treat them? And Judaism is very simple. You treat people with respect. That's it. Somebody, you mess somebody's thing up, you hurt somebody's, or you mess up somebody's object or their possession, you make good on it. You make them whole. That's it. Really? Slaves, treat them with respect. You don't beat them, you don't abuse them. And in the Torah, you abuse a slave, that slave goes free. It's that simple. So this follows the Ten Commandments. When you look at the Ten Commandments, okay, you've got the first five, which really are kind of very spiritual, have to do with God. And then you've got the other five, which are basically more societal. Okay, I'm the Lord your God that brought you out of the Egypt. Don't have any other gods before me. Don't take my name in vain. Honor the Sabbath. Honor your parents. Don't murder. Don't steal. Right? Don't commit adultery. Don't covet your neighbor's anything. Don't go around talking about people. They're very intuitive things. And yet God felt the need to single out us Hebrews and give us the Torah. Of course, we consented to it, right? Abraham set the stage. God made a covenant with him, and Abraham sealed that covenant with the act of circumcision. Later on, we had Isaac, Jacob, we had the 12 sons, they went to Egypt. Now, God says, you people have demonstrated. God didn't just pick us and say, I'm going to make you my treasured people. I'm going to make you a nation among priests. We showed God that we were worthy of it by the things that we did, by the Levites during Egypt remaining true to the ideas that would later become Judaism. And then when we become free, and God summons Moses up to Mount Sinai. He goes up and God says, I'm going to start, this whole process of this, native religion, this native spiritual heritage with you folks. I'm going to start giving you some guidance. Let's call it guidance. I mean, laws, teachings. The word Torah really means teaching. Doesn't really mean law. Yeah, as an application, it means laws, and you find that in Hebrew. Very conceptual language. A word can mean different things depending on its context, but it always stays within the framework of a concept. So the mitzvot, not necessarily, they are commandments, but they're also teachings. And God basically says with these teachings, you people will be a light among nations. Humanity needs that. Why do we need that? Look what happens. Okay, are the first humans to walk the earth, right? The first mortals, Adam and Eve. God says, don't touch that tree. Can anything else you want, just not that tree. What do? They touch the tree, they eat from the fruit from the tree. Next generation, Cain and Abel, murder. Cain murders Abel in a fit of jealousy. We have succeeding generations. I think there were 7 generations until Noah. Okay, but we also had murder. We also had paganry and idolatry. And this idiot Nimrod crowned himself king and tried to build a tower to wage war on heaven. Being a king, being a ruler on earth wasn't good enough. He wanted to rule heaven too. Okay, Noah. People abused each other. God said, I'm going to wipe humanity out, start over again, but I'm going to start with Noah because you're righteous in your generation. And Noah rescues his family, and what happens? He lands, and what does he do? Plants a vineyard of grapes and gets drunk. And then one of his sons, starts making fun of him because he passed out naked. We need rules, right? Abraham, he's wandering around, the civilized world, which was basically in among the Middle East, and he sees all these people. He has to be careful because people want to take advantage. So the point is, we need these laws. We need these rules. We need this guidance, and we need to show people that you can ascend. You can overcome your base urges. It's the way it is. So, point I was making at the beginning of this little drosh that I do. I've been doing this for 7.5 years, and I find there's always something new to talk about. If you look at all the times I've talked about this particular Parsha, Mishpatim, or any others, there's always something there. One of my mentors, Cantor Joe, told me that the Torah is like an onion. You peel back the layers and there's always something new, something more. Now, at the other hand, when you're learning, you become more familiar and you see deeper things. That's why people say with Kabbalah, you really shouldn't get involved in Kabbalah until you're about 40 or until you've had all that experience studying Torah. Otherwise, you're not going to really understand it. It's not going to mean anything to you. Okay. Anyway, thank you for listening as always. Shabbat Shalom. And in this crazy world that we have, with all the strife, with all the turmoil, be true to yourself. Be honest. Respect people. That's ultimately the message. Shabbat Shalom.